7 p.m. inform the public we're returning from executive session with nothing to report out at this time. We are meeting tonight pursuant to the governor's order on March 12, 2020, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, which is posted in the entirety on our agenda. This meeting is being recorded live. In addition to the board, our town administrator is with us, our recording secretary, our health agent Matt Tannis, and fire chief Brian Lasivita. Would the board join me in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. 10 minutes, please. I'll entertain a motion for last week.
Motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved unanimously. Thank you. Department heads, our fire chief, Chief Lasivita. Chief?
Good evening. First off, I want to thank the board and specifically the town residents for their vote last night at town meeting to move our public safety building one more step closer to being accomplished. So hopefully everybody will use that support come the whenever the ballot may be. We still have one firefighter that is out on injured leave. Last reported expenses that were unforeseen was $106,778. Last month it was $13,886.20 for a total this year for $120,646.82. Incidents for last month, 101 fire calls, 172 medical calls, and 84 fire prevention calls. We did have some mutual aid. We had a couple of fires last month. We had to call mutual aid in. So there was 3 ambulances that we received mutual aid in, and we received and gave fire mutual aid for a total of 7 times. I think the one thing that's not reflected in there is over the last couple of weeks we have used Boston Med Flight to airlift patients that are severely injured to trauma centers. And one day we used them basically back to back. We called them for a serious motor vehicle crash on Route 138 and then had to call them back 30 minutes later for a burn due to a fire at a local apartment complex. And the last thing I want to share with you is just to recognize Rev Jim Tilbey. He has completed 30 years here at the Raynham Fire Department, and he has decided that Rev Tilbey does a lot of things. He's been a firefighter here for 30 years. He has decided he's going to step away from the firefighter EMT portion of it as a call firefighter. He's going to remain our chaplain. I can't say enough about Rev Tilbey. He does a whole bunch of things. He's in charge of he's the chief chaplain for Massachusetts. He's involved in the critical incident stress for public safety, police, fire. He's very instrumental in our department, whether it's Fireman Sunday, 9/11 tributes that we do. He's presided over many weddings for firefighters, myself included. So, although I understand his need to call that piece of his job quits, he'll be missed. But he's going to be with us for a little while anyway. So, if you don't have any questions,
Thank you, Chief. Any questions, Mr. Shivo?
No, I would just simply add that perhaps the Reverend, according to the many things that the Chief has mentioned, should get a special recognition for all that he's done for the town. So I would make that motion.
Sure.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Riley?
No, just again, I know as you alluded to, Chief, you've had a lot of really serious accidents, some incidents happening at the same time, and I think you heard last night appreciation from the people in town. Everything you do, your department, it's greatly appreciated.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next department head, Matt Tannis, our health agent. Matt?
Good evening, board. I think the biggest topic right now is as of May 29th, the majority of the state's COVID-related orders will be rescinded. So May 29th, the face covering order will be lifted. There will be a replacement, I believe, an advisory. That advisory will include masks should still be worn for those who are not vaccinated. A mask will also still have to be worn in certain settings, such as public transportation, congregate care, life care, all-American places like that, and indoors for K through 12. Individual businesses can personally or individually require face coverings. That would not be something we would enforce. That would be up to the individual business. So again, most other COVID orders will be rescinded, including the gathering limits. Again, not until May 29th. The rescinding of the orders, that does not mean that COVID is over by any means. Case follow-up will still continue, contact tracing will still continue. If you're within the 6 feet and are identified as a contact, you still have to quarantine as we have been. Going forward a couple more weeks, the state of emergency is scheduled to end on June 15th as well. And with that, I just wanted to bring to the board's attention an issue regarding the outdoor dining. It's the existing state order. I believe the outdoor dining act or whatever they had put into place was good for 2 months after the state of emergency ended. So that puts you at August 15th. This afternoon on my conference call, the state did say that they're trying to push for a legislative fix to extend this at least to the fall. That way you don't abruptly end outdoor dining and related liquor license issues in the middle of the summer. So we'll have to see how that transpires over the next few weeks. I would request that the board consider rescinding the town's face covering order that had been put into effect, I think it was April 28th last year. The state's face covering order trumped what we had locally, as the state's was more strict. However, that would still be in effect until June 15th. So I don't know if next week we consider rescinding it. That way it's consistent with the state. If the board would so choose to consider a face covering order for town buildings or anything like that, if you want me to put something together, I'd be more than happy to do that. Get to you, but for the general town order that we had, a request that you would consider rescinding that next week. There was a question this morning that I had received regarding a road race that is looking to be held in town. Currently, road races and other large outdoor organized athletic events are allowed. They should have some staggered starts, that way you don't have huge crowds all together, runners, things like that. If the events are to occur between now and May 29th, they will have to submit a safety plan to the Board of Health for our review. After May 29th, they will not. I believe the events are looking to be after May 29th, so they're certainly good to hold that road race. Moving on, as far as COVID cases in Raynham, we currently have 11 active cases. That's the least amount of active cases we've had at one time since probably early September of last year. So it's been a relief, seeing a pretty significant decline over the last month, especially in the last 2 weeks. So hopefully it continues that way and holds steady. Most of the vaccine sites are now taking walk-ins. You don't need an appointment, although you can still make an appointment. The Taunton Regional site is open. It's at the Holiday Inn in Taunton, Saturdays and Tuesdays. The Bridgewater site is also up and running, I believe 5 days a week there as well. The school district is working with BSU to try to hold some clinics for the 12 and up, as Pfizer is now allowed for children age 12 plus, and the BSU is able to store the Pfizer. As far as homebound vaccine, we'll be finishing some second doses up next week for the homebound, so that'll complete that program for us within the town. Just some vaccination totals for percentages for the town. 42% of the total population of Raynham is fully vaccinated, and another 13% are at this point partially vaccinated, so 55% of Raynham within the next few weeks at a minimum will be fully vaccinated, so that's over half. And we consider that also includes those who are age 0 to 11 that can't be vaccinated. That's a pretty good percentage. I'm happy to see that. So moving on to some mosquitoes. Larvicide application for the season is complete. There was a pretty significant delay in getting larvicide applied just due to some weather constraints and also some issues with the aircraft that Bristol County utilizes. But it is now complete. Bristol County Mosquito Control will begin taking spray requests for ground spraying next week, and that ground spraying will begin on June 1st, the day after Memorial Day. There's been some discussion, actually at a public hearing 2 weeks ago with the State Mosquito Control Board, Reclamation Board, regarding some opt-out or an opt-out option for towns if they wish to opt out of aerial mosquito spray. And it's not larvicide, it's if it's deemed a public health emergency later in the summer, for that whole town to not be sprayed aerially. There was an issue in central and western Mass with the aerial spraying over the last 2 years, summers. I don't believe it's an issue for us locally here. We have a very active mosquito control board within the county, as does Plymouth. I feel we're also in the hot spot for Triple and West Nile virus. We have a lot of swamps, a lot of mosquito population, if you will, or activity. In a long discussion with the director for the Bristol County Mosquito Control, she advised that opting out would be a very dangerous thing. There's a lot of science that goes and research that goes behind all of the decisions to actually spray aerially. It's not just we feel like spraying, and a lot of boards and commissions that all meet and come together to make that decision. Also, areas of high sensitivity, school zones, they're all not sprayed even with aerial. So I know that we received a notice, and I would certainly say we don't opt out. It would only be for this year, but I just wanted to bring that up to the board's attention. I believe this Friday is the deadline if they did want to opt out, but I would strongly advise against it. Other than that, earth source stockpiled material is being removed, but at a very slow pace. The plant continues to be shut down. The DEP is working on forming a better timeline and plan to have the majority of that material removed, and the plant will not be operational until all violations have been corrected. So there are a lot of agencies at the state level that have all pieces of the puzzle, if you will, to getting that material removed, where it goes, the transportation, things like that. So they all have to come together in a perfect plan for it to be removed. So that's been hindering a little bit on the removal of the stockpiled material, but they are slowly working on it. Other than that, just a reminder that ticks are out in force. This is the time of the year that you're get a lot of the nymphs. I've been seeing a lot of tick-borne illness cases coming across. So just be mindful if you're outside. Check yourself, your pets, family when you come in from being outside for ticks. So, with that, if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Matt, Mr. Shivo?
Not so much a question, Matt, as just to remind our residents about town hall opening, our schedule for that. I think that might help. That might be helpful.
June 1st will be open.
Okay. Just
back to our regular.
Thank you.
Ms. Riley, any questions?
Thanks for your input and for everything you're doing, Matt. Appreciate it, and I know you've helped out, with the town meeting and so forth, so appreciate everything you do.
I certainly appreciate everybody's compliance with the COVID regulations last night at town meeting.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. No other department heads. We have no appointments this evening. Hearings. Old business, we were supposed to act on the remaining department head contracts, but there was an omission on the agenda, so that will be on our agenda next week. Any other old business, Mr. Shivo?
None.
Ms. Riley?
I have none.
Okay, thank you. New business, we have the street bridge, I'm guessing that's Gardner Street Bridge, dam and design contract, GPI Engineering. The contract is in order. What is the board's pleasure?
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Yep. Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just request that the board, it requires 3 signatures, so all 3 members
Yes.
need to sign that, please.
Yep, thank you. And next is the Sursage DPW Supplies Award. That is also in order. What is the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve?
Go ahead. Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is also approved unanimously. Thank you. Any other new business, Mr. Shivo?
None.
Ms. Riley?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
Town Administrator's Report, Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Raynham Master Plan, mark your calendars for June 7th and 10th at 6 p.m. to join our Master Plan workshop via Zoom to discuss the topic of transportation, circulation, services, and facilities. More information on this topic can be found by following the Master Plan link from the town's homepage or by going to www.srpedserped.org/Raynham, RAYNHAM hyphen master, MASTER, hyphen plan, PLAN. Open positions right now. The accounting senior clerk interviews are in progress to fill that position. Park and Rec had a child care administrator that just wrapped up interviews, and a candidate is being offered the position. The Assistant Animal Control is still vacant because of the hyper-local requirement of this position. It has been a challenge to fill. However, the position remains open. Finance Committee is meeting on Thursday, May 20th, to review and update the budget. A final copy will be sent to the board once complete, and a budget book will be compiled for the residents. The town moderator has recommended mailing out the warrant and the budget book to residents, but I wanted to solicit feedback from the board on mailing it out. The Selectmen's next regularly scheduled meeting is Tuesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. right here in the Don McKinnon Meeting Room of Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, Raynham, Massachusetts. The public will be able to participate via the GoToMeeting platform or by watching the Raynham Channel on Verizon, Comcast, or recording posted later on YouTube. A quick reminder that there will be no Selectmen's meeting June 8th, June 22nd, July 6th, July 20th, August 3rd, August 17th, and August 31st. And regular Selectmen's meetings will resume in September. That is all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any questions or comments.
Mr. Shivo, any questions?
Just a quick question, Graham, and that is, what is the status of the Collins study? Having mentioned the OCO, the ACO, where are we with regard to that study?
I believe, yes, so on the 24th, the Collins Center will be meeting with the police chief to and his staff, multiple members there, to interview them to get their input on the animal control facility, and then they'll be diving further into the request by the board to lay out more specific steps on how to get to that, to achieve that.
I appreciate that. And one last thing is that I would like an opportunity to talk to them as part of their study.
Okay, absolutely. Would you like to participate in the meeting with the police department?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Riley, any questions?
No, have no questions.
Okay, great. Selectmen's report, Mr. Shivo.
Yes, I have one thing, Mr. Chairman, and that is, we really have some serious questions about Article 23 at last night's town meeting. We have literally had calls. Every person in our town clerk's office has received calls today questioning the actual result of the vote for that article. Well, that was the article to eliminate plastic material. Most of the people that have called felt that the vote was against it, but they wound up saying, we don't understand. They had already voted against the use of the elimination of styrofoam. They thought they were voting against the elimination of the use of plastic. They're now told that maybe that isn't the case. So there is a lot of question, and even to the point where people that supported it say we don't understand what happened. So, Mr. Chairman, I really do believe that we need to take some action at the board to clarify this situation.
Sure. I think if the board's amenable to it, what would make sense, given the situation, because I too have received a few phone calls, is to have town council look into it a little bit further. As the board's aware, the AG's office would have to approve it, and then it would go into effect 30 days after the AG's approval, so we have some time to figure it out, and if there are issues around that particular article, then we can talk about potential remedies, but I would think it would make sense to have town council get involved and take a look.
Yes, I agree. And one of the things that was suggested is that we get a transcript of that particular article and what transpired, because some people have said, and literally every member of our town clerk's office has received calls today. There was some question of whether, at the conclusion of the vote, whether or not there was ever any mention of whether the article had passed or failed. So we need, one of the comments that was made is we need a transcript to get a better feel for what transpired. But I take your point, and I hope that brings us to an area where we're all more comfortable with.
Would that be a motion?
Yes, it is a motion.
Yeah, and I'll second that motion, and it was confusing, I think, because the previous article banning styrofoam, that was defeated, and I think the sense was that the plastic was going to be as well, and it was confusing whether a yes vote is in favor of the ban or a no vote means you're against the ban, so it was confusing, so if we could look into that, definitely.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Shivo?
None, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Riley.
No, just briefly, our Rave organization is celebrating Children and Seniors Together Week in our Raynham schools. this week and actually for the rest of the month, even though it had to be done virtually. We had a number of seniors who were videotaped reading stories, and then some seniors, including Mr. Shavo, who participated in a discussion. Some of the students put together a huge amount of questions about what life was like when they were growing up. So, yeah, it was interesting to say the least, right, Mr. Shavo?
Yeah, my only comment was, there were more than enough questions. I needed some answers.
But we want to thank the volunteers who participated in that and our rave coordinator, Becky George, for coordinating that.
Sure.
And other than that, thank you to the people who attended town meeting, 125 voters, I believe, so that was a good turnout and some great discussion, good points on all sides of the issues, and I certainly appreciate that. And I just hope we never lose that town meeting form of government where, you know, everybody has the opportunity to stand up and make a difference.
Great.
One last thing, Mr. Chairman, while Pat has mentioned thanking those that attended, I think it's not inappropriate to thank all of those who planned the meeting, because there was a
absolutely.
lot of work done, you know, reflecting on the COVID and all of the special arrangements that were made. So we must thank every single person who participated. Seriously, there was a lot of work that went into that.
Thank you. I would echo both of your comments on those who participated and planned and orchestrated the town meeting. Also under my report, just a reminder to the board, and I'll have it on our agenda next week, but we have to set a date for a special election for the public safety building. My understanding, it has to be 30 days. We have to set it within 30 days from the vote. So I will have that on the agenda for next week. I've reached out to the clerk to get some input from her on that as well, but expect that to be on the agenda next week to set that vote. Correspondence, we have one piece of correspondence from John Donahue. He is requesting to have his 9th annual Frosty Half Marathon on Sunday, December 5th, beginning at 8:30 a.m., and he will coordinate with the health agent to ensure any and all measures are in effect, as well as police and fire. What is the board's pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. No other correspondence. Press time, is there any? None? Okay. Emergency business, I have one piece for the board. As we're aware, last night we weren't able to act on the budget. We have to set a special town meeting. The agreement was we would have a one-article special town meeting, as was illustrated last night, to handle it. In collaboration with the moderator, we are proposing Monday, June 14th at 7 p.m. at the middle school, again, one article to handle the budget. Just so the board's aware, I've also requested from the administrator and our finance team a complete review to figure out how this happened, because I'm sure you all share my frustration. This shouldn't have happened. There should have been multiple sets of eyes on it, and before it went to the printer, and so this can't happen in the future. But that would be the proposal under emergency business, to have the, again, one article town meeting warrant for the budget for FY22 on the 14th of June at 7 p.m.
Yeah, make that motion.
Yes, second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved unanimously, and that is set. And do I have a motion to open and close the warrant?
So moved.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is all done. Great. Any other emergency business, Mr. Shivo?
None.
Ms.
It's
Riley?
not emergency business, but I forgot to mention,
please.
this Saturday is Household Hazardous Waste Day in the town of Raynham from 8 a.m. to 12 noon at the Highway Department. It's for Raynham residents. Proof of residency is required. And I thank, obviously, the Highway Department for setting that up.
Thank you for that as well. Citizen and community input, do we have any? None? Okay. All right, performance of administrative duties, I'll entertain a motion to approve the town of Raynham invoice and payroll warrants.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. I'll entertain a motion to approve the police payroll and invoice warrants.
So moved.
Second.
And I will call for a roll call. Mr. Shivo?
Aye.
Ms. Riley?
Aye.
And I will abstain. That's 2-0 to 1 in the affirmative. If there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
And I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Graham, do you want to retype this?